Now that it's been 3 months since my last update, the 1 year update, I thought it was time to do another one. 3 month chunks I think are quite good to do these updates in. It's kind of enough time for stuff to have actually happened and changed. If I did it more frequently, it'd be like too often. I think not much has happened, and doing it every 6 months is kind of like too big a chunk. So yeah, looking back at this 3 months, pretty much it's been going out to Aaron, it's been the highlight. Doing the Corey boulders, really nice, especially that, the rhythm. I wanted to get back on that one, it was a sweet problem. And the mushroom as well, only started to really taste those climbs there. I want to get back to that in the summer, or soon hopefully. So they're kind of like the highlights outdoors. Indoors I think things are going really good. I like doing the competition style at Ratho, that's like just totally different way of doing bouldering, at least to what I'm used to. That was good. And yeah, just kind of been, it feels as though I've just been slowly progressing, improving the climbing, and thinking back to the 1 year update, this was kind of the biggest thing I wanted to improve, was how often I went climbing. Last year was 1.6 per week, 1.6 sessions a week, and now between March and end of May, I've pushed it up to 2.6 a week, so usually going between 2 and 3 times a week. Definitely seen improvements. I feel as though I'm much more on a roll, rather than just like dipping in here then there, especially actually when you do like a project. So let's say I've got a problem working on, maybe it's going to take 4 sessions to do. Just by going once or twice a week, that's going to be over 2 weeks just to get it done. But going 2-3 times a week, probably getting it done just after a week. So I think that definitely makes a difference psychologically. You're kind of from session to session, I feel as though I'm building on each one, whereas for the past year it's kind of like a little catch up, and then improve, then come back 2-4 days later, catch up, improve. So yeah, definitely going more often has just helped with just overall feel as though the momentum is coming with me. Feel more in the flow, more confident with feet placements and body position, because again, you're not really out of the zone at all, you just, going often enough to keep that good. At least that's how I feel. And yes, that's been the biggest that was kind of the biggest thing I wanted to do, was to improve, and so pretty glad I've did that. But the second thing was to remain injury free, which I've not, unfortunately. I've got another pulley problem, this time on my right hand ring finger A2 pulley. And so this is kind of like a two-part, or the injury came on like kind of 2 waves basically. The first one was like mid-January, where my problem was I did not warm up my half crimps. Even though I did, let's say, half an hour of like boulder problems, usually I do start V0 and work my way up in like a pyramid style, doing more easy ones, and then just work my way up to whatever I'm projecting or want to try, whatever that grade is. And so somehow in this session, all the ones I've been doing were mostly sloper style, or not really using a half crimp. And then the one I was projecting, or actually the first time I did it that day, it had a dyno to basically I caught it in like a half crimp. And this was kind of the crux move, and doing it over and over and over again, and basically at the end of that session I realised, oops, first time I felt a bit of tenderness in, well, basically any finger apart from this one. And yeah, so that was kind of the start of it, but that was mid-January. It's just minor basically, so pretty much didn't make any changes because it was such a minimal thing. So just normal sessions, not really changing how I grip things, just normal. But then, what was it now? Mid-May I would say, maybe towards start of May, mid-May, can't remember now. But basically I was on this problem, V6 to 7 had graded it, really nice, loved the moves, up to this crux where my right hand was on a volume but with no grip. It's basically just a piece of wood, kind of the stuck holds onto. And so for this 1 year I was holding the very top of it, so that was flat. It's like a triangle with the flat part, and so can't remember if I was open handing it or half crimping it. I wasn't filming that day, so I didn't actually see what happened. But I think it was like more of an open. Then I have to go bump to this one, or I'm on this one for a second because it's rubbish, and I have to bump immediately to another one. And during that you kind of swing out, and so this was like a max. This was the crux of the problem, and I was going to max on this. I really wanted it, and tried it, did the top part, did the bottom part, and I was linking it up. And so this was like to a full max move, like tiptoes just almost like falling off, so close to coming off, but I managed to hold it and then topped it out, so good. But then coming down, just feeling my fingers, which I usually do after something that's really hard, yeah, and felt it in here. It wasn't too bad at the time, definitely more tender than I usually let it get, or at least with this one. And then it was over the next couple of days, realised, no, this is too tender. And what I realised was with this one, I can't really call it an injury anymore because it was more of a strain. I could climb like normal, I could half crimp, open crimp, do whatever I wanted, go as hard as I wanted, and it wasn't sore to do any of these, it wasn't painful or tender to do any of these moves. It was just when feeling it. Whereas with this one, when I went to do a half crimp, I actually felt it a little bit tender. So I think that kind of bumps it into like a proper injury now because it's actually affecting how I climb. It was definitely worse than this one, but I was basically trying to use the lessons I learned back then to really let this one heal up quicker. And so the first thing was not to take like chunks of time out. With this one, I took like 2 weeks out just hoping it would improve, but it turns out ligaments don't really work like that. They need to be pushed a little bit, then let it heal, push a little bit further, let it heal, and with that you become, basically you get yourself stronger enough to where you were before, and that's you healed. And so with this one, I tried to, whipped out the finger terminator, which I think was featured in one of my updates, can't remember now. And so this one, I put resistance quite low, and I would just do kind of, I don't know, things like 20 reps of this, take a little break, do another like 20. I was kind of just wanting to work my ring finger, my pulley lightly. Wanted to push a little bit every day, maybe a couple times a day, just till it became a little bit tender, and that's like the little stimulus it needs to start healing. So I did this for like a week, and really, it felt really solid. I mean, it was surprising how, for being much worse than this, it improved much quicker. So obviously when I went climbing, I kept climbing as hard as I could throughout this, just switching up my grip. And what I realised was that I hadn't been, at least for the last, 6 months or something, I hadn't been truly open-handing. I think I've just been defaulting into like the forefinger, but for me, if I use my pinky, it becomes like an open crimp, where basically my ring finger and middle finger are half crimping, kind of, at least crimping a little bit, which puts the strain on the pulley. Because basically when I went to true open hand, it felt weird. It just so clearly I just hadn't been using it at all, just defaulting to the open crimp. So yeah, went straight back to the open hand, and pretty much within 2 weeks I was back doing like V5s and 6s, and so it got a little bit sore by the end of the session, but not much basically. So that was kind of like solid in that department. So I wanted to start introducing half crimps again, at least a little bit, but that didn't go so well. It just wasn't. This was maybe like 2 weeks. The other thing is, actually what I should say is, I put bigger expectations on it this time. I wanted to improve much quicker, I wanted this not to be a hindrance, so probably my expectations are way out of whack, but I wasn't satisfied with how it was going, even though it's only been maybe like 2 weeks, maybe a month now, but at this point it was like 2 weeks past. I wanted to find another way to help things improve, because I felt that by going climbing, it just didn't seem like the best rehab method. It was too variable, each climb is like a little bit different. If it's a new one, I don't know what the next move is really going to feel like or how much strain it's going to put on me. So yeah, I wanted to find another method. So what I found was this podcast on trainingbeta.com. I can't remember her name, but I think she's a doctor or something. Esther, I believe. I'll put the name up in the link somewhere. Basically, her methodology for rehabbing pulley injuries is first go to, like, let's say a 2-finger. So you'd be on your fingerboard, training your 2-finger pocket, adding weight if you need to, but basically straining the pulley until you're kind of towards your muscular max without causing it any tenderness. And so I was doing this, well, at the time I didn't have a fingerboard, now do, but at the time I just took one of my pinch blocks and then cut out a chunk basically, and this becomes what they call a no-hang device. So basically you add a weight to it and then you hang from it. and I was doing it just with like 2 fingers. And so I did that. I was getting up to, or at least the size of this is like 17, 18 mil, and so I was getting up to like 20, maybe 25 kilos, and that feels I was getting to like my muscular max without causing any tenderness in here. So then I switched to half crimp. So it started quite light, just like 10 kilos each set, just working a little bit more, a little bit harder, just stopping when it became tender. And so I've been doing that over the last 2 weeks, and that feels really good. I like the fact that it's very controlled. You can control the load exactly. All you're doing is like lifting it off the ground and holding it for like 10 seconds. So it's very much a controlled way to stimulate this A2 pulley. And so I've been really liking that, and over the last 2 weeks I'm getting to about 40 kilos, and that feels as though it's approaching like my muscular max, and the pulley's just getting a little bit tender. So I'm really liking this method. It seems like a very controlled, regimented way with very little risk to strain this pulley. And it's kind of early days now. I can't really recommend it, of course, because it's just one example. Well, I guess she's recommending it and I'm finding benefit from it, but basically we'll see. I'll see how if I continue an improvement, but definitely feels much stronger, more solid compared to the strategies I used to improve this one. Yeah, so that's kind of like what's happened with this little injury here. Definitely felt a dip in motivation, kind of interest in bouldering again, like what happened with this one. It's almost impossible, I think, not to, when you can't climb. What I realise is that it's more about it doesn't really matter too much what grade I'm climbing, it's more the effort, or it's the feeling that you're going max, you're trying your hardest, and I was getting back to that point again, was loving it, and now this injury, it's like kind of, you know, I have to somewhat restrict myself with some climbs because I'm open handing. I can't quite do another move because it kind of requires like a half crimp, at least that's how it feels. So that obviously dips in motivation. It's kind of unavoidable, but with me just doing the no hang device, I've actually not climbed in the last 2 weeks, and really, yeah, I need to get back into it again. It's it feels as though I've strengthened that. I'm not going to maybe half crimp, but still open handing. Maybe I'll test the half crimp, see what it's like, but yeah, I need to actually get physically climbing again. It's been too long, I need to improve. And I've got new shoes. Well, say new shoes, is actually the same style, the Scarper Booster S. I tried on some other ones, none were quite as good. The closest ones were the Evolve Shaman 2s. They were pretty much the closest, and basically they were almost a perfect fit for my feet. The only thing I realised was, at least my feet are slightly different size, and so one of them fit pretty much perfect, the other one was slightly too big. What I realised was when I put pressure on the toe, the shoe didn't push my toe towards the front. And what I realised what's great about these ones was this is exactly what they do. Even though at least my last shoes were a little bit too big, nevertheless as soon as I put pressure on the toe, my foot would push, or the shoe would push my foot towards the front, and it would always feel like perfect. My feet were bunched up, my toes were bunched up at the front, and you felt totally in control, proper connection, no gaps or anything. Whereas with the Shamans, it felt as though that gap remained, and obviously this is the most important point of your foot pretty much for climbing, and yeah, it was lacking. So I just went back to the Booster S's, tried and true. The only thing that isn't good about these, at least for me, is there's a slight pocket for the heel. The heel isn't perfect fit for mine, and so probably why I avoid heel hooking sometimes, but yeah, just as a whole, this seemed to still be the best for my foot, so just got these again. And the difference actually is I went half a size down, so I'm going to keep the half size one more for performance, maybe when I want to do a particular thing outside or indoors. Basically pushing towards max, I'm going to use a slightly smaller size. Then just back to the same size for gym climbing, which are super comfortable. 2.5 hour sessions, probably my longest, and yeah, it only starts to get a little bit sore-ish at the end, so pretty damn comfortable for such an aggressive shoe. So yeah, pretty happy with that. But the extra one, the extra addition is these, the Tenaya Inti. And so I kind of wanted these ones for doing slabs and vertical. What I realised is, especially outdoors, I'm pretty much always doing slabbish, vertical kind of stuff, or very minimal overhangs. And especially for slabs, these ones, if for example I'm trying to put pressure on, you know, a slabby thing, it feels as though I have to push a lot to make all that friction happen. Obviously because of the downturn, that's probably why these aren't great for slabs, but still pretty damn good. But I just thought, for a little bit extra improvement, I thought I'd try out these more flat ones. And definitely for slabby kind of stuff, for smears, that does make sense and it helps a little bit, but I'm not quite as keen on this rubber. I think this is just the XS grip, and that is the XS grip 2. It's meant to be like softer, more sensitive, and it feels a little bit stickier as well. Not as good as I was hoping it would be. I thought it would be more of a difference for slabs and vertical, but turns out it's not actually that much of a difference. And definitely feel more confident in those ones anyway, so I'm not sure how much I will use these, but I'll definitely wear my way through them, but maybe not buy another pair, I'm not sure. But we'll see, we'll see. Right, and now on to the strength assessment. For this one, I was reading it up about